You're listening to the 12 Days of Crusademas 2023, brought to you by the Longbox Crusade.
One-star Spangled War Story.
Hello, and welcome to the first day of the 12 Days of Crusademas for 2023, brought to you by the Longbox Crusade. The 12 Days of Crusademas is our gift to the podcast community to celebrate the holiday season. And we're celebrating this joyous season by sharing with you some comic book titles that may have gotten by you in the past. Each day of the 12 Days of Crusademas will bring you a hidden gem of a comic series, brought to you either by one of our holly jolly co-hosts or one of our podcast celebrity guests, until we get all the way to December 25th, Christmas Day. I am your host for this first day of Crusademas, Delvin Williams, the Christmas Web. Here are the three non-Christmas holidays that are joining me for today's unwrapping. First off, we have Pat Sampson, aka DJ Cristados, also known as Festivus. Merry Christmas, Pat.
Merry Christmas, Delvin. Happy festiveness that we have going on here. I'm trying something new this year, you guys. Each day I'm going to be putting up decorations. And since you guys are all here now, we're around the fire, everything's cozy, I figured I'll bring it here. And while we're podcasting, we can be starting to put these things together. You know, that way I got your guys' attention. The last, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever, how many years we've been doing this. It's always been me, right?
Yep.
Oh, well, I'm glad you guys admit it. So anyway, it's always been me. So I'm just bringing in this. We're going to start with the Christmas tree. So I'm going to put it up in the background here. So I'll just kind of be in and out and around in the background, and then I'll have you guys help me decorate it. What do you guys think about that?
So our next host is Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist, aka Hanukkah or Hanukkah. If you don't want to pronounce the C. Welcome to the show, Jared. Merry Christmas.
Oh, man, I got 8 crazy nights of not helping DJ Cristados one bit.
What was he talking about?
I don't know, and I don't like it.
It's actually
Speaking of things
days,
that people don't like, I've brought a joke. All right, so Santa Claus, he's got Blitzen and Donner, and he's taking them down to the market. Mrs. Claus is like, why are you taking Blitzen and Donner to the market? And he said, just over the years, they've gotten old. They're not productive like they used to be. They need to be replaced. I'm going to go sell them off at the market, and I'm going to get some replacements. And later that night, he comes back from the market, and he still has Blitzen and Donner. She goes, what happened? And he said, they're just too dear to me.
Hook that up.
Is it me or do they get worse every year?
I laughed.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
So who's ready to trim the tree?
No one, Pat. Still, I would rather hear 12 more days of jokes than help you trim the tree. I still love you, though, very much, very much. We will move on to co-host number 3. His name is Jason Albrecht. We call him Weasel Skull, and he is also Kwanzaa, if he didn't know it or not. So, Merry Christmas to you, Jason.
Kwanzaa, I like it. Well, by popular demand, I asked Mary Jane to stay off the airwaves this holiday season, so I'll just say to everybody, Merry Christmas. Let's kick this thing off right.
We have a guest here, by the way, and name unchanged and whatnot. Joining us around the fireplace today is Billy D, aka Doc Strange, from the podcast Magazines and Monsters. Welcome to the show, Billy.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. And as you heard in the singing intro, today is one-star Spangled War Story, which means we're unwrapping Star Spangled War Stories 101 from DC Comics in 1962. You guys ever heard of that one?
I have too.
I think I know Jared has for sure. So yeah, The War That Time Forgot. That was a book published by DC Comics in 1960, and they published it for 8 years, which blows my mind that they were able to, for 8 years, publish a comic of soldiers fighting dinosaurs. That just blows my mind.
Sometimes they were sailors fighting dinosaurs.
Oh, yes, you had to throw a couple of sailors in there, too.
The occasional Marine.
Yeah, I don't know if the Air Force was around at that time yet, but they didn't get their crack at it maybe. But yeah, so it was a really cool comic book. It's very nostalgic for me, and I really, really enjoy it. Again, mostly for nostalgic reasons, but I still really like this one quite a bit. And I do love the creative team behind it as well. Bob Kanigher. He was a stalwart in the DC era there in the Silver Age. And then you had also Ross Andrew. And he was another one that has a lot to do with this as well. Mike Esposito on the artwork.
Esposito!
I think my candy cane just went up.
I really love this book because when I was a kid, I really loved every element that is in this comic book. It was just dinosaurs. I could get enough dinosaurs, and I could also not get enough with soldiers. I had those little plastic green molded soldiers that I would play with. And then as I got a little older, I graduated to G.I. Joes with the Kung Fu grip and just absolutely loved it and couldn't get enough of that kind of stuff. So, that's kind of like my backstory. And then I bought this lovely DC Showcase trade they have. It is in black and white, which isn't the best, but it's still pretty good artwork in there. And I really, really like this. So have any of you guys read Star Spangled War Story comics before? Jared?
I have. I picked up the War That Time Forgot trade at Ollie's for like $3.99. And I mean, it just had, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, World War II, dinosaurs, the occasional robot. What the hell's going on here? I need to know more. And being a big Stegron fan, yeah, I was immediately just amazed by it. And I have read the whole trade. So that's a long answer to say yes.
Jason, how about you?
Yes, Jared may not remember, but when he finished the trade, he sent it to me in the mail. And so I read it as well. And then I sold it on eBay for $10. It's a profit. I thought he'd be proud of me.
How about you, Pat? You read these?
No, I haven't. So interesting read.
Mm-hmm. And how about you, Delvin?
No, Billy, I have not read a single Star Spangled War Story before, but I'm very excited to talk about it.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll just do a quick little summary of this issue, and then we can get into talking about it. So a soldier, Mac, has to test his new buddy, a GI robot, under battle conditions. The robot responds to voice commands, sometimes too well, as in crushing the soldier. They parachute to a Pacific island, but are attacked by dinosaurs in the air and on land. Time and again, Joe saves Mac's life and his own by jumping out of quicksand. The robot tows Mac out to a PT boat, and a sailor calls, "You guys look rugged. What happened? Ask my GI buddy. He'll tell you all about it." So, yeah, pretty neat story here. What do you guys think of this story? How about you, Pat? What do you think of this one?
It was an interesting story. I'm not a big Army fan in the comics.
Ooh, bad. Wow, that was bad phrasing altogether.
Yeah. But I love me some G.I. Joe, which is odd. I just strange that I'm not a war comics kind of guy. So going through this one, I found it interesting. The artwork was definitely really done well, and just going back nostalgically on this, I can see why you can like this, Billy, is because the page layouts. I went back through after reading it and just went to go look through the different page layouts that were done by the artist here, and I'm like, this is reminiscent of the old feel like that, and I thought it was done very well, because not only was there some 9-panel grids, some 6-panel grids, some 3 sections. One was a big long one in the middle where you saw the bigger dinosaurs and things like that they were fighting. Just nicely well done. As far as the characters go, decent story with how this guy was kind of begrudgingly wanting to do this. Like, this thing's going to get me killed, but ends up trying to shake its hand 2 times, I think, or something like that. But in the end, kind of reverses around and you see there's some life in this. So it's interesting. I am interested that, like you said, it went for 100 and some issues.
Well, 8 years it ran for the War of the Time Forgot, the dinosaurs. But this title, Star Spangled War Stories, it ran for longer. 20 years. Yeah, okay. Long running one.
So this kind of segment of just this mixture of the dinosaurs and things like that was kind of a theme that they were running for a while. And it's interesting.
What about you, Jared? I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Oh man, this is just right up my alley. I love the wacky mixture of things, and you take World War II soldier and you put them on with the dinosaurs, and then you add the robot, and it's just like yes, all that. And then on top of that, you find out what Ross Andrew and Mike Esposito have been doing since before Spider-Man. Like, we cover a lot of their work when we went through Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles or Crusader Chronicles back in the day. And now you get to see what they were doing before it. And man, it's so good. Like, you have to be able to draw people. You have to be able to draw military equipment. You have to be able to draw dinosaurs, in this case, robot. It requires a lot of art skill, and it's all there. So it's fun to look at, and it's a great read. I'm probably stealing a little bit of Jason's thunder, because I remember he and I talked about this, I think back when we first read these, that the only downside to this is some of those stories are kind of repetitive. But we're not here to judge all of that, because you really brought the one issue here. The one issue you brought was a spectacular choice because it's so unique with the robot. Because like you said, there's 8 years of these stories of soldiers and dinosaurs, and some of them get a little repetitive, but this particular one is definitely standout. Bill, you'd probably remember better than me, but I want to say there was maybe 1 or 2 more with the GI robot in them, at least a couple more. And I always liked those the best. He always added some new flavor. It was just fun to see Mac getting frustrated with this thing, and then like it has this little bit of humanity to it at the end. And by the end of it, Mac's like, "This is my boy, this is my boy for life." So it's just fun to watch that journey. Talked a lot. Sure, Jason's gonna have more to say.
Yeah, it was really good. How about you, Jason?
Yeah, I think Jared hit the nail on the head. When I first got the Star Spangled War Stories, and specifically The War That Time Forgot, I read the first few issues of that, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I like the theme. But then it kind of got, there was a set formula to it. It seemed like some patrol would get lost in this mysterious island and then have to fight dinosaurs. They try to use the rifles wouldn't work. Then they use grenades, and grenades work, and then they'd somehow get out. And it was starting to get a bit repetitive. And then I read this specific story with Mac and his robot battle buddy, and I was really amazed. And I think what really got to me was just kind of the amount of a heart that was in it, which will definitely be reflected in by scale. There's one panel in there with the two of them sitting back to back. And, that tugged at my heartstrings. And it was interesting, too. There was a lot of tension in it because Mac was supposed to be just kind of trying this robot out, and then they get thrown into the middle of the fray, and it becomes a battle of survival. So it has excellent elements of great storytelling. Pat talked about the art, and I'll just second that. The art is really good and really contributes well to the story. And you can expect a decent score from me.
Yeah, Jared's right. This was, there were 3 issues with the robot here. There was this issue, and then there was 2 more, and those 2 more were actual 2-part story that carried over from one issue to the next. But yeah, only 3 issues for the robot. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. What about you, Delvin?
Was Ross Andrew the one who drew that story?
Yeah, he was the penciler.
I'm mad at myself for not recognizing that. But I'm happy because on the first page, as soon as I saw it, I was like, ooh, I like this. I like this artwork. Who is this young upstart drawing on this book? And then Smithers was like, why, that's Ross Andrews, sir. It's like, oh, splendid. Artwork was really good. And the story, it was kooky. And I like kooky. It was good kooky because at first, just militarily speaking, it's both very military and both very not military to put some prototype out in the middle of the field and just be like, yeah, sure, this could cost you your life, but see if this works.
Let's see what happens.
It's such a bad idea that I actually could see it working and happening in the military, especially back in that day. And as it turned out, that robot turned out to have some human qualities where, like, there were a couple of times where the robot kind of winking a nod did a few things that it didn't really seem like a robot would or should be able to do to protect his battle buddy. And even though I've never been in a field like that, to see that still warmed my heart, because I was like, yeah, good. Like, protect your battle buddy. That's cool. That's exactly what you have to do at all times. It was cool to see Mac grow to, like, not only rely on his robot battle buddy, but to learn how to use him most optimally to help him out of a ridiculous situation. He's fighting freaking dinosaurs. Like, there is no way that he would have made it alone. He only could have made it with the help of a battle robot, for Pete's sake. So this crazy thing wound up being not only his salvation at the end, but also just like a friend that he could rely on, and even though it was a bucket of bolts. And something about that is very endearing to me. I like the story, and the fact that Ross Andrew drew it on top of it, and Mike Esposito. I am very, very sold on this, Billy. Very sold.
Yeah, this is a good one. And I'll tell you what, kind of a semi-spoiler here. I was reading this story and I started really getting into it. And towards the end, the robot almost buys the farm. And I was like, no, he can't die.
Right? Yeah, when he went in the quicksand, I was like, no.
Oh.
I had too, yeah.
But when he gave him the command to jump, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, great moment. But yeah, I mean, bazookas, grenades, dinosaurs, quicksand. What is not to like here? So, all right. Are you guys ready to get into things here? It's time to rate your interest in the series using the official Crusademas candy cane scale on a scale of 1 to 12 candy canes, 12 being extremely interested and 1 being no interest at all. How many candy canes would you rate your interest in pursuing more issues of this title? So what about you, Delvin?
It was a lot of fun. Based off of this issue alone, I'll give it 11. I know war is hell. Last Crusademas, Jason brought a very realistic war story that I was like, man, this is depressing. And by all means, I need to have my war stories manicured. I understand that war is hell. But that said, this was just fun. You got a guy that's, in war, but like he gets blown off course and he's fighting dinosaurs. And something about that is just cool as hell and doesn't leave me sad or depressed at all. It left me happy. That plus Andrew Esposito, that's very, very easy 11. And I get the feeling, if I'm looking at Ghosts of Christmas Future of about a few seconds from now, you're probably going to be hearing a 12.
Awesome. So what about you, Pat?
Well, I am going to give this a 9. I go up, and just because of Esposito and Ross Andrews' art in this, I didn't know that, these were so old that they don't say this in here. So hearing that, I want to bump it up a little. But like I said, the war stuff isn't really for me, but there are people like you, Billy, that really enjoy it. And there's lots of people out there that do. So good for them.
Awesome. What about you, Jared?
Yeah, it's a 12 for me. It's, I'd be hypocritical because, the whole thing is, are you going to pursue more of it? Yeah, I bought the book and I love the book. I liked it so much. I was like, my brother Jason needs to read this book. And then he got $10 out of it. So,
I'm kidding. I still have it here. So
either way, I'm okay with it because that means somebody else will be reading the book. It's a great book. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, fair warning to people out there, like Jason and I talked about, it can get a little formulaic, but it's a great book to like pick up and read an issue because it's not a long-term story. They're all kind of single issues. There are a couple 2-parters maybe, but to read an issue and just put it down for a while and then come back to it and read another one later on. It's just kind of the gift that keeps giving. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 12 and God bless us, everyone.
So how about you, Jason? What do you think?
Well, using the tried and true formula, humor, heart, spectacle, and art, the humor, I'm going to give it a 2. I did laugh out loud a couple times. Delvin hit the nail on the head. I just thought the whole scenario was ridiculous. Let's pair the soldier up with this murder robot and see what happens. I thought that was pretty funny. And then just kind of the comedy of errors throughout the story, I thought was amusing as well. The heart I talked about, just seeing them grow and bond together till the very end when the robot's saving him by swimming him out to the PT boat. And, he's like, that's my boy right there. He doesn't call him a robot. He's like, that's my buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Spectacle, Billy, you put it best. Bazookas, dinosaurs, robots, soldiers, what's not to like? And then art, I gave that a 2. I thought that was really solid art. And to be honest, when I read it originally in that collected trade, it was all black and white. So to see it in color added a little bit too. So it was well above average. So that gives me 10 candy canes. And Billy, as always, I just appreciate the enthusiasm of all the guests and putting up with our shenanigans. So I'm going to give you an extra candy cane and walk out of here matching Delvin's 11 candy cane score.
Awesome. Yeah, and I will totally agree with you guys on saying that it is very formulaic. So I would not try to sit down and read more than maybe 2 or 3 of these at a shot, because after that, you will get bored with it, even if it does get the nostalgic cooking there. But I will give one last recommendation from this series. Like Jared said, if you can find this at somewhere like a discount store like Ollie's, I would definitely grab the trade. But issue 107 as well, they fight a giant crab underwater at a submarine. That's some Navy guys. So you got to love it.
I remember that one. That was good. I like that one too.
That will wrap up day 1 of the 12 Days of Crusademas. We love to hear from you if you're familiar with any of the comics we cover here on the show. Or if you give one of our recommendations a try, let us know what you think about it. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You look up Longbox Crusade, you will find us. Going old school, contact at longboxcrusade.com. Going even older school, 707-532-5269. That is 707-532-LBOX Jared only.
Pick up the phone.
Beautiful. And if you're loving Crusademas and didn't get a chance to listen last year, what are you doing? Or if you want to hear more Crusademas, look, just scroll back. Look, you got us from 2017, 2018, 2019. What comes after 2020, 2021, all the years that we've been around as a podcast, we've been doing some Crusademas. And man, we were rough to start. I listened at 2017. But we got better. We did. I swear, we did get better. So it's worth going back and listening to, just to catch up on some good old comic book loving goodness and some good old Crusademas. Back to you, Billy.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to come back tomorrow to find out what the next gift is from under the tree here in the festively decorated Longbox Crusade Studios. Thanks for having me, fellas. Merry Christmas out there to everybody, and Happy New Year. Until next time, DJ Cristados play one of my favorite Christmas jams.
Wiggly, 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 whack.
All songs, song clips, and characters discussed are copyright of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. We are just fans that like to share our love of comics.
Outtakes.
Merry Christmas, Pat.
I'm trying my new delete Control D's nuts to come off of mute, but it didn't work.
It's not working.
No. It's not controlling these nuts.
I'm not looking. Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Let me hear those robot noises.
Does a robot talk like in the other episodes? Did they get him to say something, or
I don't believe so. No,
Oh, shoot. I would have figured that, maybe they would have programmed them just to.
He does say one thing, Pat. He says, "Shut up, Pat. Jason's going to edit this episode."
Jason salty. I kind of miss Mary Jane.
Hey, man, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Jason's got a new bit. I want to know what it was before he changed it. I'm sorry. Back to the show. Somebody's turn. I don't know. Is it you, Devin?
Outro.
You're on mute.
Still muted.
Billy conducted this whole thing near flawlessly, and I was like, "Derv, what's the script? Are we doing Crusademas?" I eat paste.
So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to jet out of here, and I will talk to you guys later.
Later, Billy. Thanks for being here.
See you guys.
Stay delicious.